Hi, welcome to Divining the Oracle. Today we're asking what your friend really thinks of you, so I'm going to invite you to pick from a centipede, a spider, or a mole. Timestamps are in the description. For those of you who chose the centipede, this is your reading. We're asking what your friend really thinks of you. So the person that you have in mind, I'm getting quite a scattered kind of energy with them. And I wonder if they can be kind of hot and cold, but this might not be anything bad, so to speak. It might just be more that when you're with them, you feel a kind of intensity about the interaction, but then there are times when you're not in touch or things go quiet. There's some kind of sense of like an intensity and then things being quiet with them. And it feels like they might have, if you're into astrology, they might have quite a lot of air in their chart. It feels like they can be quite flighty. They can be thinking about 100 different things at once. Their mind's going really quickly. They have a lot of that kind of air energy. One thing that's coming through is that you might have two quite different personalities, at least the majority of the time. I feel like you definitely connect in some ways. So it might be that sometimes you really enjoy their conversation, but it might be that when you're on your own, you're quite different. So something about being around them perhaps brings out a similarity in you. But I feel like you might, because of this difference that you perceive, you might be concerned about what they think of you. Maybe that I'm also feeling that they might be the kind of person who either shares opinions a lot on what they think of other people or other things, or you just imagine from the fact that they seem to think a lot about everything that they must have an opinion, and you want to know what they think about you. I feel like there's nothing negative here at all. I think sometimes they might notice also the difference in personality between you and them, and if you are quieter than them at times, or if you take longer to respond or to share what you're thinking, they might wonder whether you're thinking something negative or something critical. I feel like at times they might feel as if you're preventing yourself from saying something negative, but that might actually be the case, that you're just contemplating, you're just thinking. Whereas it feels like that's not their style, so just confronted with a different personality, it brings up some doubts. So I feel like you could actually be both occasionally having doubts simply because you have different personalities. One thing that's coming up that sometimes comes up for your friend is that it feels like, the way that their mind works, they always have a lot of ideas and perhaps are wanting to rush ahead and start new ideas. And something that seems to have come up in childhood for them is their parents perhaps encouraging them to be more thoughtful or take their time. And for some reason, when you're with your friends, sometimes they feel themselves reminded of their parents. So there can be a bit of a childhood wound that comes up. But I don't feel that this really reflects badly on you at all. It's simply just they're being reminded of something in the past, because you have different ways of approaching life. And I'm sure that this is really healthy for you both to be exposed to different personalities. I feel like your friend sees you as a really thoughtful and really beautiful person. I feel like this is about your physical appearance as well as what's within. They just see you as a really calm, beautiful presence. And I think there's a sense of mystery to them about you. And that's simply, again, pointing towards your differences. I think in some ways they wish they could be like you. They wonder what it would be like you, to be more able to sit and contemplate and take your time. I feel like they sense that you have a lot of quiet confidence in yourself, but also in life. I feel like they sense that you trust life, you trust the flow of life, and they wish that they could have a bit of that. I think if anything, your friend could do with some encouragement and some words from you that express how much you really like them. Because I think there can be times when they just would like that reinforcement. They would just like to explicitly know. and that could be a really beautiful thing for the both of you to share. So I really hope that this message has supported you today. Do let me know in the comments. Do subscribe for more readings like this, and I hope to read for you soon. For those of you who chose the spider, we're asking what your friend really thinks of you. It feels like the two of you are very close, and it feels like quite similar as well. And at times I feel there can almost be a sense of lacking boundaries, and this is a gift, but also it can feel almost like a curse at times, because there's just a very intertwined connection with you both, and I feel like sometimes you can struggle to feel your own sense of independence within the friendship. So I'm asking what your friend thinks of you. I feel like they can be quite bossy at times, and they want their own way, and it can feel like it's almost like that's a familiar role to them, so that's what they tend to gravitate towards, how they act out in a friendship, if they can, if the circumstances are there for it. It's just a comfortable role. There's nothing malicious about it. It's just a comfortable role for them. They can be the one encouraging a friend or encouraging you to do something. I feel like they're very attached to you emotionally. You mean a lot to them. So when I'm asking, what does your friend think of you, that's almost like the wrong question, because I feel like there's such closeness and such intimacy that they're not thinking, they're responding with their emotions. There's definitely a sense of neediness at times from them. And here, as I'm tuning into this intensity, I feel like I should say that you may not feel these things all the time, but they are patterns that can emerge in your friendship. So I'm feeling, as I'm tuning into their energy and the way that they see you, at times they want to be quite pushy and bossy, and then at times they might feel very much like they need your energy, they need your support. And I'm feeling like you might really appreciate them, but you can also feel like it's too much, or like the dynamic is a bit draining for you sometimes, and I think it's important for you to pay attention to that. But Spirit's also sharing this message with you for you to understand that you can have that intimacy in a different friendship without the sense of control, I would say, or the sense of kind of neediness, the sense of being drained. I feel like Spirit's just saying, please don't feel like you have to have that combination. You can have something that just feels good to you. You can have a sense of closeness and intimacy, but not feel like there's this particular dynamic. So if you've been feeling like that, then, pay attention to that, but please feel optimistic as well about other friendships. There's something about your friend here where they really rely on you, and it feels like you fulfill a role where it's almost like a parental role. It may not look quite like that, but there's something about, like, they almost, you feel like family to this person, and they really rely on your availability, your emotional availability. And I do feel like for this friend that they need to learn to rely on themselves more, because it feels like it puts a lot of pressure on you. I don't know whether there can also be an element of jealousy sometimes if you're spending time with other people. I feel like this could be related to a certain interest or a hobby that you have that might not be for everyone. But sometimes there can be pressure from this friend for you to not do certain things, or it's like, oh, why do you need to go and spend time with them? Why don't we do X, Y, and Z? So I really hope that this has supported you, and obviously make sure that it makes sense to you, and that your intuition says that yes, this is the message that I need. It may be that not everything here resonated, and that's fine. It's a general reading, but if you found it supportive, please do subscribe for more readings like this. For those of you who chose the mole, this is your reading. We are asking what your friend really thinks of you. I feel like your friend has quite unusual perspectives on life sometimes, and I feel like they don't necessarily have a lot of self-confidence, but it's almost like that wouldn't necessarily affect them negatively. It's just that they are quite a humble person. That's how it's coming through. It's like and so I feel like sometimes when you're around them, you feel like you can be transported into their world, into their way of seeing things. And it really feels like spending time with them has a particular feel to it. So when you leave their company, you feel a particular kind of way, and it's really noticeable with this friend. I feel like your friend is pretty open-minded and, on the whole, not judgmental about people. I feel like they might feel uncomfortable when they're not in their comfort zone, but I would say, on the whole, they tend to be open and accepting of many different types of people. I feel like they see you as someone who has achieved quite a lot in life, or is quite ambitious and intelligent, but they're very much able to just allow you to be who you are. And I feel like this is quite a gift that your friend has. They just accept people as they are, just to mostly at least. I feel like they really enjoy understanding who you are. Your friend is someone who they just really like to take in other personalities, to spend time with people, to hear how they view life. They find that very interesting. They just like to listen to you. So if you ever hold back on sharing an opinion, I feel like with this friend, don't do that, because it feels like they're not judgmental. They want to really understand you deeply. They really enjoy that. They enjoy spending time with people, especially one-to-one. I feel like they can feel a bit lost in a group, but one-to-one, they really enjoy hearing what you think about things. And yeah, I feel like sometimes I don't think when they think of you, I feel like sometimes they might think, oh, you seem a bit stressed. And I'm not sure that they would share this with you, but it's like that's the way they perceive you. Like, you're ambitious, you've got a lot going on, you're very driven, and I think that your friend might imagine that this could make you stressed. Whether it does or not, that's their perspective. And it could actually be helpful for you to ask your friend for advice, because I think it might be quite interesting. It feels like your friend's quite a different personality than you, and it could just be really interesting if you did ask them for advice on whatever you feel like, to just see what they have to say. It could open you up to seeing things in a new way. This is something that your friend is really gifted at, is just being really open to other people. And I don't know whether this is the case in a general reading, but it feels like for some of you at least, it could be the case that you tend to spend time around people who are more similar to you, who are also quite ambitious, maybe very well educated, interested in education, and always kind of discovering more about the world. And it feels like your friend is like that, but in a very different way. It's like they like to absorb things from spending time with different people. And so I feel like there's a lot to gain in this friendship, and I feel like you may not be getting as much as you can out of it. And I think it's a mutual connection in that way. It just feels like this person has a lot of patience. It feels like they're really kind and very grounded. It doesn't feel like they're ambitious in the way that you are. It doesn't feel like they're kind of driven to get out of their comfort zone. Actually, they like just staying where they are and drawing people to them. But it feels like they wouldn't be someone who would like traveling too much. It's like they really like to be at home. But saying that, mentally and kind of in their heart, they're very, very open. So I really hope that this has resonated with you and supported you today. Let me know in the comments. And if you'd like more readings like this, do subscribe.